Hi, my name is Gyro. I make anime recaps. If you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing to support me in developing my work further. Jinwoo is completely wiped out after finishing his job change quest and is just chilling in bed when his sister Gina calls. She reminds him about her parent-teacher meeting, and even though he's exhausted, he agrees to go. When he shows up at the school and in for a shock, Gon is the plain, unassuming Jinwoo instead. He's rocking a sleek new bob cut and some seriously stylish clothes. Gina's jaw drops and she teases him, asking what happened to her normal older brother. As they walk through the halls, Jinwoo turns heads, with some of Gina's classmates clearly mesmerized by his new look. Gina, grinning, jokes that she could help him find someone to hook up with. Jinwoo, unfazed, just pinch her cheek and calmly shuts down the idea. At the meeting, Jenna's teacher praises her achievements but then brings up a serious topic. What if Jinna awakens as a hunter? The teacher asks Jinwoo for his thoughts and he doesn't hesitate. He firmly says he'd never let Jinna become a hunter, even if she awakened, because it's too dangerous. The conversation shifts to Jinnao's friend Songyi, whose future as a hunter is also a concern. The teacher asks Jinwoo for advice, sensing he knows more about the hunter world than he lets on. Later, Jinwoo meets Songyi, the E-rank hunter that he and Jinwoo recruited earlier, who happens to be one of Jinna's classmates. When Songyi realizes Jinwoo's brother, she tells him she has no plans to quit being a hunter, despite their earlier conversation. Jinwoo nods, respecting her determination, and asks her to come with him somewhere. Meanwhile, Hwang Dong-soo arrives in Korea from the US and is greeted at the airport by Woo Jinchul from the Hunter Association. Hwang's not impressed, making snarky comments about Korea being old-fashioned and acting surprised that someone like Jinchul would personally welcome him. Jinchul, keeping his cool, asks how long Hwang plans to stay. Hwang casually says he doesn't care much for Korea and reveals his real goal: to find Jinwoo and Jinho, not just to track them down, but to kill them in a dungeon. He plans to take out the E-rank first, then the D-rank. He taunts Jinchul, asking if a scrub like him plans to stop him. Jinchul, unfazed, simply says he's just doing his job. Over at the Hunters Guild headquarters, Choi Jong-in updates Gobin Hee about their third raid on Jeju Island, which Choi led. He drops a bombshell: the ants they fought have started growing wings. Go is visibly alarmed, realizing how dangerous that evolution could be. Choi tries to reassure him, saying the ants can only fly short distances for now, but warns that could change. Go tells Choi he'll look into it immediately. Back to Jinwoo, he and Songyi arrive at a C-rank gate where they meet An and Hyun. Jinwoo had called in a favor for Man, so they're allowed to join a mission organized by the White Tiger Guild. The mission is meant to help new hunters practice, and Jinwoo belongs to show her how tough hunter life can be. They're introduced to Kim Cole, an A-rank tanker from the White Tiger Guild, who is immediately annoyed by the presence of two E-rank hunters. He thinks they'll just slow the team down. But things take a dark turn when Jinwoo notices the gate starting to transform into a red gate. He grabs Songyi's hand and tries to escape, but the gate seals shut before they can get out. Jinwoo shouts to An and the others outside, telling them to alert the primary raid team immediately. An contacts Baek Yoonho, the White Tiger Guild master, who's shocked to hear a C-rank gate has turned red. Baek promises to come right away. Inside the red gate, the team finds themselves in a completely different world, a snowy forested landscape that's eerily quiet. Kim Chul explains the situation. They're trapped in a red gate, which is far more dangerous than a regular gate. They'll have to defeat the dungeon boss to escape. Songyi, confused, asks Jinwoo what a red gate is, and he explains it cuts off all contact with the outside world and forces hunters to clear the dungeon to survive. As Jinwoo was explaining, two ice arrows shoot out from the forest. One kills a C-rank hunter instantly, while the other Jinwoo catches it midair, saving Songyi's life. Park Hee-jin, a B-rank hunter, notices Jinwoo's incredible reflexes and starts to wonder if he's really just an E-rank. The group spots two ice elves in the trees, who mock them before retreating. Jinwoo, annoyed, snaps the arrow in his hand. Songyi, shaken, asks Jinwoo about the attackers, and he explains they're ice elves, known for being cruel and sadistic. Kim Chul takes charge, explaining that their support from outside is cut off and the dungeon boss is likely B-rank or higher. He splits the team into two groups, the stronger hunters with him and the weaker ones left to fend for themselves. All A-rank and B-rank hunters join Kim's team, but when a C-rank hunter asks to join, Kim refuses, saying only A and B ranks can come. He explains that one day inside the red gate equals 1 hour outside, meaning they could be stuck for months. He tells the weaker group to just survive until his team defeats the boss. Park Hee-jin surprises everyone by volunteering to join the weaker team. Kim allows it, figuring she has her reasons. Before they split up, Hee-jin quietly asks Jinwoo if he's really an E-rank. Noting that Kim didn't even see the ice arrow earlier, the two groups head in opposite directions, with Kim leading his team toward the clearing and Jinwoo guiding his team into the forest. Both leaders wish each other luck before parting ways. Kim Chul's group runs into some serious trouble inside the red gate. As they're trudging through the icy Westland, they get ambushed by a bunch of ice elves. The attack is crazy fast and brutal. Several hunters are taken out almost instantly. Kim Chul, despite being an A-rank hunter, he totally panics. Instead of stepping up as a leader, he bails on his team to save his own skin. Meanwhile, Jinwoo's group is holding it together thanks to his quick thinking and growing power. He pulls out warm clothes and supplies from his inventory to help his team survive the freezing cold. Knowing more danger is coming, he summons his shadow soldiers to keep watch. Sure enough, a pack of ice bears shows up and attacks. The shadow soldiers jump into action, but things get dicey when the ice bear leader shows up. Jinwoo doesn't hesitate. He calls Igris his top-tier shadow warrior. The fight is intense, but Igris takes down the ice bear leader like a boss, proving just how much Jinwoo's powers have leveled up. Just when it seems like they might catch a break, the leader of the Ice Elves, Barca, shows up. His arrival is straight up ominous, and it's clear he's way more dangerous than anything they've faced so far. And now things are really heating up. Meanwhile, outside the gate, only 3 hours have passed. Huang Dongsu is getting impatient. He's itching for a showdown with Jinwoo but is stuck waiting. When he realizes Jinwoo has ties to manager An, he shifts his frustration to him, ready to attack. But before he can do any real damage, Bak Yuno steps in, unleashing his claws. Sparks fly as the two S-rank hunters clash, shaking the air with every strike. Back inside the icy wasteland of the Red Gate, Kim Chul is losing his mind. Wandering alone, overwhelmed by fear, he stumbles upon the slaughtered ice bears and panics, convinced that the dreaded ice elves are nearby. Outside, Wu Jinchul arrives just in time to break up the fight between Huan and Yunoho. Wang is still furious but backs off when Wu reminds him that Jinwoo was officially ranked as an E-rank hunter. Not convinced, he shifts his suspicion toward Yu Jinho, but realizing he has no solid proof, then he leaves for now. Meanwhile, inside the gate, the low-rank hunters are gathered around a fire, enjoying a much-needed meal. But their peace is short-lived when Kim Cole shows up. Seeing them alive while his comrade's Parish sends him into a rage. He lashes out, demanding answers and even threatens them with his sword. Just when things are about to escalate, Jinwoo appears from the shadows and takes him down with a single strike. But Jinwoo has bigger problems. He senses the presence of invisible enemies. The Ice Elf leader finally reveals himself, speaking in his native language. The real shock is that Jinwoo understands him and even responds in the same tongue, much to his own surprise. After easily dispatching a high-ranking elf with a single blow, Jinwoo learns a disturbing truth: all monsters are instinctively driven to kill humans except when it comes to him. This revelation makes him question the nature of the mysterious system guiding him. Barca offers a deal. Surrender and he'll let the remaining hunters live. Jinwoo, of course, refuses. Instead, he summons his shadow army and an all-out battle erupts. As the other hunters take cover, Jinwoo quickly realizes Barca is on a whole different level. His normal summons won't be enough. The fight between them begins in a flurry of intense, blinding strikes. Amidst the chaos, Kim Chul regains consciousness. But instead of learning his lesson, he makes the worst decision possible, attacking Jinwoo. Before he even gets close, Igris takes him down instantly. Seeing an opportunity, Jinwoo extracts Chul's shadow, bringing forth a towering, powerful warrior named Iron. While not the smartest, Iron proves to be a valuable ally in the fight against Barca. Jinwoo, Igris, and Iron work together with perfect synergy. Jinwoo's speed, Igris's deadly precision, and Iron's brute strength gradually wear Barca down. In the final moments of the battle, Jinwoo distracts Barca with a returning dagger while Iron pins him down. Then, with one final crushing blow, Iron smashes a warhammer into Barca, ending the fight once and for all. As the dust settles, the surviving hunters finally breathe a sigh of relief. The nightmare is over. Outside, Baek Yoonho and manager An watch as the Red Gate reverts to blue. But to their surprise, it's not Kim Chul who steps out, it's Jinwoo and the other low-rank hunters. An isn't the least bit shocked. He knew Jinwoo would make it out alive. Yoonho, on the other hand, has to come to terms with the reality of Kim Chul's death. Wanting answers, Yoonho confronts Jinwoo, but Jinwoo calmly turns the tables on him, pointing out that he should be grateful for the lives that were saved. Realizing he was out of line, Yoonho apologizes. As Jinwoo walks off with Son Yi, Yoonho tells An to do whatever it takes to recruit him. On his way home, Jinwoo reflects on everything that happened inside the gate. Barca's weapon is a nice reward, but it doesn't take away the weight of killing a human, something he's now done 3 times. But there's no time to dawning arrives and Yu Jinho shows up in fresh, shiny armor, ready for their next adventure. To his surprise, Song Yi is joining them too, and just like that, another eventful day begins. Okay, let's back to our story when Jinwoo and Jinho completing the 19th and final raid needed for Jinho to be a guildmaster. Yu Jinho is in shock as he sees Sung Jinwoo's shadow army for the first time. The shadow soldiers work efficiently in their latest raid, slaying magic beasts and even harvesting the dungeon's essence stones for them. Jinho is briefly convinced that he's been replaced, but after the raid and subsequent mining of mana crystals, Jinwoo and Jinho celebrate the completion of the guild raid requirements with beer. Jinho still has to complete a written exam and convince his father to let him take over their family's guild, but he's close to his goal. Jinho tells Jinwoo about how his older brother of 10 years came to dislike him and never spent time with him, so he wishes Jinwoo was his older brother. Jinwoo smiles and says kindly that, starting today, he considers Jinho his younger brother, which makes him shed a few tears of joy. Elsewhere, in another dark dungeon, an unknown man on a wrecked ship-like dungeon advancing on an English-speaking man in full armor. The English-speaking man is terrified as it's clear that the unknown man took out his allies. he can tell that they have a language barrier, so he tells James in English that he's human and wants to go home. He is taken into custody by the Americans, who call upon S-rank hunter Wang Dongsu fresh from his Korea trip to talk to him in case he's dangerous. The strange man claims to have been trapped in a gate over 10 years ago, emerging from a gate that appeared in the United States. Since he emerged from a gate, there's no way of knowing if he's some kind of human-shaped monster. When Hwang Dongsu arrives, he comes with his characteristic arrogance and the strange man's cryptic musings about how little humanity actually knows about the gates. The dungeons and the magical energy that now permeates the world only make him bolder. This man is revealed to be none other than Sung Il-won, the father of Sung Jinwoo and Jina, who went missing around 10 years. Il-won claims that his goal is to prevent a disaster from happening, one that not even all the hunters in the world would be able to thwart. Dongsu rids Il-won's file and learns that he's Jinwoo's father, unleashing a murderous aura as he tells the talking magic beast that he should meet Jinwoo, of whom he believes is already dead, in hell. Jinwoo gets ready to leave for a week-long trip to the Demon King's castle. His sister, Jina, comments that he's been busy lately. Jinwoo has the elixir of life on his mind and wants to gather its required ingredients to cure his mother from her strange illness. Entering the castle, Jinwoo is shocked when the system assigns him a quest to kill 10,000 magic beasts. Determined to save his mom, he accepts. As Jinwoo clears the castle's floors, he gains levels while progressing up the tower. He summons a shadow ice bear and names it Tank to help speed up travel. Reaching the 50th floor, Jinwoo confronts avaricious Vulcan, a gigantic orc demon who is faster than he looks and severely outmatches Jinwoo in terms of strength. The battle against Vulcan is short but really exciting for how dynamic the animation is in this scene. Jinwoo's confidence has grown, and the way he deals with Vulcan's immense speed and strength shows how used to dangerous situations he has become. His dramatic finisher on Vulcan earns him several new pieces of gear and various rare items. When Jinwoo's army advances onto the next boss, Metis, Guide of Souls territory, he drops a solid Vegeta reference when he asks if the undead can experience fear. After putting in a solid shift, Jinwoo only has one more ingredient to hunt down before he can make the holy water. Jinwoo eventually runs out of time and supplies on the 75th floor. The journey proves valuable, with significant level gains, another secret dungeon key, and 2 of the 3 components for the elixir of life now in his possession. Opting to head back home for now, not knowing just how much commotion awaits. When we cut back to Il-won and Dongsu, we're met with the scene of firefighters rushing to douse the blazing fires around what used to be the building where Il-won was being held, with the Dongsu sprawled in the wreckage. The lack of damage to the immediate surroundings led the workers to a terrifying thought. Wang Dongsu was defeated in a mere instant, before the catastrophic damage that comes with the battle between 2 S-rank hunters. While planning for his next visit to the Demon Castle, Jinwoo comes to make a dramatic decision that will have massive consequences for the very delicate balance struck between the 5 major hunter guilds in Korea. He decides it is time for him to get his rank reassessed. And just like when Jinwoo did it in Season 1, Jinwoo places his hand on a machine that measures the concentration of mana in his body. This time the contraption is unable to get a rate on his levels, leading the operator to call on one of her superiors to look at the possibly faulty machine. The superior is taken aback as he explains that the machine only returns that error in situations where the hunter in question possesses an immeasurable amount of mana. The revelation leads to Sung Jinwoo being reclassified as an S-Rite, the 10th in the history of Korea. The news quickly spreads and the major hunter guilds swoop in to try and sign Sung Jinwoo, with Hunter's guild leader Koi Jong in the first to try. However, Jinwoo coolly walks past him as he opens his mouth to speak. After being contacted by someone who was present for the reveal, White Tiger Guild leader Baek Yoon-ho rushes to the Hunter Association to speak to Jinwoo. When Jinwoo goes to the hospital to visit his mother, he runs into Woo Jinchul from the Hunter Association, who tells him that the chairman would like to have a word with him. Gunny explains to Jinwoo that they are currently on the cusp of collapsing the balance that has been established between Korea's top 5 guilds. The nation's greatest advocates right now are not the government but the hunters who protect people from magic beasts. The core of this is the 5 largest guilds. It's like 5 great dinosaurs maintaining a delicate stalemate against each other. But if Jin would join any of them, the balance would collapse. The Hunter Association is vital to the nation as a deterrent to them. A 6th power, Gunny wishes for Jinwoo to join the association, but the chairman is shocked when he hears that Jinwoo has no intention of joining any guild. The deal that Gunhee wants to give Jinwoo is incredibly sweet, guaranteeing a key role within the association and career prospects. Knowing that Jinwoo has been paying for his sister's education and his mother's medical expenses, the chairman plays a good hand in trying to bring Jinwoo on board. But he refuses. The chairman thinks that it's all about money, but Jinwoo is more motivated by the fighting itself. A job in the association would take him away from the battlefield, which he belongs to, Then we shift to Dongsu. After being thoroughly defeated by Sung El-won, Dongsu is nursing several broken bones. The deputy chief of the American Hunter Association comes to ask him what his assessment of El-won was, and a bitter Dongsu tells him that there's no way he could be human. He recalls El-won threatening him, telling him that if he does anything to harm his family, not even death will be enough to save him. Dongsu plots to find a powerful artifact that will give him the upper hand when he eventually challenges El-won again. While planning for his next visit to the Demon Castle to complete his collection of the ingredients required to craft the elixir of life, Jinwoo tries to get his hands on higher quality gear, as well as sell some of the loot he got in the aftermath of the battles against Vulcan and Metis. The problem he faces is that there's no way for him to justify why an E-rank hunter like him would have such high-level gear, especially when there's no record of him going on any A-rank raids. Lucky for him, there just happens to be help wanted for the mining team of an A-rank raid conducted by the Hunters Guild. Go Gunti and Woo Jinchul discuss Jinwoo, looking over his files from 4 years ago and seeing how much he persevered to make it this far. When the chairman hears that Jinwoo will participate in a Hunters Guild raid, he's disappointed to learn that it was ultimately money that swayed Jinwoo's decision, not knowing in what capacity it is that Jinwoo is participating as a miner. The power of Choi Jong-in's strike team is made abundantly clear as he clears scores of enemies with his powerful fire magic, making it possible for his team to make it through even an A-rank gate unscathed. When the strike team emerges from the gate, Chae-in had very nearly noticed Jinwoo's powerful presence, showing that her reputation as a powerful hunter is not misguided. Then Jinwoo and the other miners enter to harvest materials. During their lunch break, the workers leave the gate, giving Jinwoo the perfect opportunity to have a look at the boss room. He knows he shouldn't beat the dungeon boss because that will bring attention to him that he's been adamant he doesn't want, but he can't help himself. The boss in this dungeon is even stronger than Metis. Just as he's about to enter, Chae-in appears. As Chae-in catches Jinwoo standing in front of the Dungeon King's gate, she immediately questions his presence there. Realizing his recklessness, Jinwoo awkwardly responded he got lost and ended up in this place. He knows now that the rumors about her were not exaggerated. She was so stealthy that he hadn't even noticed her presence until she spoke. Chae-in is startled when the weapon in Jinwoo's hand suddenly vanishes. When he walks past her, ready to leave. In a cinematic moment, Chae-in experiences a strange sensation. She stops him, leans in, and takes a whiff of his scent. To her surprise, he doesn't carry the usual full odor of other hunters. Instead, he smells pleasant. Suspicious, she asks if he is truly a hunter, confirming that he is ranked as an E rank. She then steps back and warns him to be careful on his way out, as this dungeon is extremely dangerous. Jinwoo returns to the mana excavation team, where his colleagues envy his encounter with Chae. One of them mentions that she dislikes the smell of other hunters and always covers her nose with a handkerchief. This makes Jinwoo question why she found his scent different. Could it be because he is a player? After completing the excavation, Jinwoo receives his payment. The team manager thanks him for his hard work, noting that his efforts significantly sped up their progress. Impressed by his efficiency, the manager offers him a permanent position with higher pay. Initially, Jinwoo declines, but upon learning that there will be 2 raids the next day, one ranked A rank and the other C rank, he reconsiders. The team needs his help with excavation work and he agrees to join them. Meanwhile, Chae-in hires someone to gather information on Jinwoo. However, the investigator reports that no data is available on him and the Hunters Association is keeping his file confidential. This is highly unusual, considering Jinwoo is not a high-ranking hunter. Lying on her bed, Chae-in ponders Jinwoo's odd behavior inside the dungeon and wonders why the association is hiding information about him. She has met countless hunters before, yet he is the only one who has ever smelled pleasant. The following day, Jinwoo arrives at the dungeon site and is taken aback by the warm welcome from the excavation team. The moment reminds him of the past, flashing back to a similar scene from the first season, evoking a sense of nostalgia. As usual, the team is amazed by his precise and efficient work in breaking down the ores. Suddenly, Sung Ki-hoon, the leader of the strike squad, arrives. He requests to borrow one member from the mining team, as their designated equipment carrier has not shown up. Since accompanying the strike squad is dangerous, he offers additional compensation. However, fear grips the excavation team and a ranked dungeon is far too perilous for them. Just as hesitation lingers in the air, Jinwoo unexpectedly raises his hand and volunteers to carry the equipment. The strike squad consists of 6 A-class and 3 B-class hunters. Inside the dungeon, a female hunter reassures Jinwoo that he is safe as long as he doesn't flee. Monsters typically attack those who run. Their leader, Sung Ki-hoon, is on the verge of becoming an official guild master, making him all the more determined to complete this raid successfully. Suddenly, Ki-hoon senses an overwhelming presence, and without any verbal communication, the team instinctively assumes battle formation. A pack of dungeon foxes emerges, and the squad demonstrates incredible coordination and combat prowess, eliminating them with ease. However, Jinwoo finds it odd. Why are C-rank fox monsters in an A-rank dungeon? Observing the foxes closely, he notices colors around their necks. His sharp instincts tell him that these creatures belong to someone, possibly being used as hunting hounds. Before he can analyze further, monstrous orcs make their entrance. One of the orcs attacks with a massive spear, shattering Sung Ki-hoon's shield upon impact. A fierce battle erupts between the squad and the orcs. Initially, the strike team holds its ground, but as the fight drags on, the difference in strength becomes apparent. The orcs' tough bodies and sheer numbers gradually overwhelm them. When a B-class fighter gets injured, a healer rushes to aid him. However, just as she starts healing, an orc sneaks up behind her, accepting her imminent demise. She closes her eyes, bracing for the end. But then in an instant, the orc is lifted into the air, choking as if being strangled by an unseen force. It's Jinwoo. He dispatches the orc effortlessly in a blink. Without drawing attention, Jinwoo subtly assists the strike team by weakening enemies, ensuring they remain unaware of his interventions. After the battle, some members of the squad noticed an unusual shift in the orcs' movements. Their attacks had suddenly slowed at times, as if something had been interfering with them. One observant member realizes that Jinwoo was the one responsible. She caught a glimpse of him using stealth magic. Instead of exposing him, she decides to keep it to herself, understanding that he had helped them for a reason. After careful consideration, Ki-hoon decides that it is best to retreat temporarily. They need more healers and at least 3 additional magic users to proceed safely. However, as they reach the dungeon gate, they are met an alarming sight. A powerful barrier prevents their exit. Those who attempt to break the barrier are struck with an ominous force, filling them with sheer terror. As they turn around, their worst fears are realized. A massive army of orcs awaits them in the darkness. Ki-hoon quickly understands that if they fight now, they will all perish. Suddenly, one of the orcs steps forward, possessed by a powerful presence. Speaking through the orc's body, a deep and commanding voice echoes through the dungeon. The figure introduces himself as kalgargan and states that he wishes to meet them. When Ki-hoon asks if he is the one responsible for sealing the dungeon, kalgargan confirms it. Ki-hoon then asks if there is anyone stronger than him within the dungeon. Enraged by the question, kalgargan gives them 2 grim choices: die at the hands of his soldiers now or enter his domain. With no viable option, Sung Ki-hoon chooses the latter. He secretly instructs Jinwoo that when the battle begins, he must escape and alert the main strike team outside for reinforcement. The team's healer, sensing impending doom, hands Jinwoo a final request: to deliver her last words to her family. She pleads with him to survive. As despair spreads among the team, Jinwoo is reminded of the nightmare of the Double Dungeon Massacre. Outside the dungeon, Chae searches for Jinwoo and is stunned to learn that he is merely serving as an equipment carrier inside the raid. Meanwhile, a cinematic shot reveals the orc armies marching inside a colossal fortress. The atmosphere is drenched in dread as the strike team stands paralyzed with fear. Seated on his throne, the great orc warlord welcomes them to their doom. Kalgargan belittles the hunters, referring to them as mere toys and orchestrating their suffering for his amusement. That feeling of worthlessness amplifies when they feel the power of Kalgargan. Kalgargan says they are nothing more than toys for them to break, which drives home just how dire the situation is. Ki-hoon, determined to protect his team, rushes in headfirst, determined to lead the battle even though it seems hopeless. He is unsurprisingly tossed around like a rag doll, forcing Jinwoo to make a choice, otherwise the group will all die. As despair looms over the hunters, Jinwoo steps forward to confront Kalgargan. Recognizing the dire situation, he decides to reveal his true strength, a move that risks exposing his concealed abilities. He summons his shadow soul, commanding them to rise with the word "arise." These soldiers, emanating a pale blue light, emerge from his shadow, ready to battle the high orc army. Kalgargan mocks Jinwoo's shadow army, underestimating their power. In response, Jinwoo unveils a new skill that enhances his soldiers' capabilities, initiating a fierce battle between his shadow army and Kalgargan's forces. The clash is intense, showcasing Jinwoo's strategic prowess and the strength of his summoned allies. The clash between Jinwoo's shadow army and Kalgargan's high orcs is incredible. The animation is so fluid and brings the action to life, but the real battle is between Jinwoo and Kalgargan, and Kalgargan begins attacking Jinwoo, but the attack has no effect on him as Jinwoo is immune to poison. Jinwoo then uses his magic shadows to destroy Kalgargan's armor. In response, Kalgargan transforms into a giant and starts wreaking havoc, destroying everything around him. However, Jinwoo uses his speed to evade Kalgargan's fire attacks and strikes him in the eye. Enraged, Kalgargan turns the area into hell. Jinwoo manages to bind Kalgargan and brings him crashing down. The hunter Cha-hee and the surveillance team arrive just in time to watch Jinwoo go all out on Kalgargan. It makes it impossible for him to hide his true strength anymore. Jinwoo transforms Kalgargan into a shadow and names him Tusk. He is surprised to discover that the manager was watching him. The Hunters Guild team decides to keep this a secret and takes Jinwoo away. Cha-hee appears very confused and shy. The next day, we see a mysterious man in a car. I wonder who he is and what his purpose is.